Hello, Sevenis and receiving students. Thank you. Take your seat. Receiving students and Sevenis, our last lesson was on. Can someone tell me what was our last lesson? Yes, let's have our friend there. Okay, our last lesson was on understanding fractions. Receiving students and 80s, by now you should know that fraction describes a part of a whole. So that was our previous lesson. Today's lesson will be on equivalent fractions. So this is going to be our lesson for today. Now, before we go to the lesson, I would like to show you some key questions which we will try to answer them while we are going through the lesson. Okay, we have two key questions which are on the screen. The two questions are, receiving students in 7E, can you read the two key questions? Question number 1.
What does equivalent mean?
Question number 2.
Is 1/10 the same as 2/6?
Okay. During the lessons, we will try to answer those questions. Now, I would like us to look at the first question. What does equivalent mean? I have on the board, a fraction wall. A fraction wall. Now, this fraction wall is going to teach us, or will teach us, this fraction wall will teach us or show us or give us the meaning of equivalent fraction. And the next question, it will also teach us whether 1/3 is the same as 2/6. So this is a very useful material, and it is it can be a good teacher to teach you. Now, from this fraction wall, receiving students and 7E, can someone identify 1/3 on this fraction wall? 1/3. Receiving students, if you do not have the fraction wall, you can observe what the model class is doing. Can I have someone to identify 1/3 on this fraction wall? Okay, let's have our friend here. Very good. Now, class, our friend has identified 1/3. This is 1/3. Now, looking at this fraction wall, we have already identified 1/3. And the length of 1/3 is from here to here. From here to here will be what fraction? From here to here. Madeline?
2/6.
2/6? 2/6 is somewhere here. Remember, we are in 1/3 column or section. Yes, Shannon.
Half.
Half. Okay, good try. Okay, let's have Emmanuel.
2/3.
Very good. 2/3. From here to here is 2/3. So this is 1/3. Then this will be 2/3. Now, looking at this 1/3 here, can you identify from this fraction wall a fraction which have the same length as 1/3 on this fraction wall here? Which other fractions have the same length as 1/3? Michaeline? Okay, let's have Michaeline.
2/6.
2/6. Can you come and show where 2/6 is? Class, is 2/6, is the length of 2/6 same as the length of 1/3? Okay, you can see from this fraction wall here. Any other fraction which have the same length as 1/3 and 2/6? Bagley? Okay, let's have Bagley. Bagley says 1/9. Okay, can you come and identify 1/9? 1/9. Where's 1/9? Receiving students in 70. He says 1/9, and what is this? Okay, I'll show you where 1/9 is. From here to here is 1/9. Okay, let's have Glenda.
Three nine.
3/9. Can you come and place this strip of paper where on 3/9? Very good. So Bagley, now you know that this is 3/9 and not 1/9. 1/9 is about this length here. From here to here is 1/9. This is 3/9. Now receiving students and 8 is. Going back to our key questions. Is 1/3 the same as 2/6? Is 1/6 the same as 2/6? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, you can see that 1/6, 2/6 is the same as 1/3, and 1/3 is the same as 3/9. So what do you say about equivalent fractions? After doing that practical activity, how can you describe or explain equivalent fractions? Or what is equivalent fractions mean? Okay, let's have Polisila.
Having
Having the same value, the same amount.
Okay, good. Equivalent fraction, they have the same value or the same amount, but the numerator and the denominators are different. The value and the value is always the same, as you can see from the examples here. This is 1/3, this is 2/6, and this is 3/9. Different fractions, but the values are still the same. So that is what we mean by equivalent fraction. Now receiving students and 80s. Equivalent fractions, we can always simplify equivalent fractions to its simplest form. Now that is going to be our another learning activity that we will try to do in this lesson. Now here I have 2/6. I have 2/6 on the board here. We can simplify this fraction to its simplest form. To simplify, we have to find a common factor. Now, who can give me the common factor where I can use to divide this fraction into its simplest form, or to change it to its simplest form? Okay, let's have Agnes. What's the common factor?
2.
The common factor is 2. Receiving students and 7E, do you agree with that answer? Yes. Yes, okay. The common factor is 2. We divide 2 by the numerator and the denominator. So, receiving students and 7E, what will be the answer? What will be the simplest fraction of 2/6? Okay, let's have Kalen. Kalen?
The answer is 1/3.
1/3. Receiving students and 7E, do you agree with that answer, 1/3? Yes. Okay. Yes, the answer is 1/3. Now receiving students, I've just shown you how you can simplify fractions to its simplest form. To simplify fractions, you must find a common factor. Common factor. And that common factor is a factor that can divide the numerator and the denominator evenly without any remainder. Now here is a practical example or activity that I would like you to do it in pairs or in threes. Okay? We have a practical activity which is on the screen. Receiving students in 8 write this fraction to its simplest form. 4/12 or 4/12. Can you explain? Okay, class, I think you have found the answer already. I'll have Donald to show us the simplest fraction of 4 over 12 on the board. So let's have Donald. Write it big. Can you write the number big? Very good. Raise your hands up, receiving students, and 70 if you got that answer. And thank you, put your hands down. Raise your hands up if you think that the common factor was 4. Okay. The answer is correct. 1/3. The common factor to simplify this fraction to its simplest form is 4. Okay. Others, when I went around, I checked some of you were using 2 as your common factor. And that is not wrong. That is still correct. But you will still have to simplify further down to its simplest form. Second time again. So, if you either use 4 or 2, that is still okay. As long as you have come up with the simplest fraction, which is 1/3. Now, receiving students and 80s, we will go to our learning activity. Our learning activity, there are 2 learning activities that I would like you to do for this lesson. Activity 1 is cancel down each of these fractions to their simplest form. So we have A, which is 2/4, and B, 6 over 30. Now you simplify those fractions to their simplest form. Write this. Okay, learning activity number 2. what fraction of each shape is shaded. Give this fraction to its simplest learning activity number 2. What fraction of each shape is shaded? Give each fraction in its lowest term. Okay? Lowest term. In other words, you simplify the fraction to its simplest form. So lowest term and simplest form mean the same. Have the same meaning. So 2 things that you will do in learning activity number 2. First, you identify the fraction that is shaded in that shape, and then once you have found the fraction, you simplify that fraction to simplest form or lowest term.
Like this. How do you say? You should correct like this.
Recorrect that one.
Okay. This is another meaning. You know, fraction divided.
Mic testing. The activities in your exercise book only go to yeah, it's in the book. You can use the book. Use the book. Finish. Which one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the bottom. 5 at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 at 1, 3, 5, 6. Okay, receiving students and 80s, 2 minutes is up, so we will correct the activities. Now, only 2 exercises that we will correct, that is 1A and 2A. So, receiving students, the others, you can give them to your receiving teacher to check the work. Now, for the meantime, I will call Evelyn to come and give us the answer for learning activity number 1A. Thank you. Let's have Clement. Clement will give us straighten the bodies, straight back, not backwards. Bar across. Put the bar across here. Bar. It's too crowded. Okay, receiving students and 80s, let us look at the 2 answers here. 1. What is the simplest fraction for 2/4? Raise your hands up if you got half. Okay, half is correct. 2. What is the simplest fraction for 6/30? 1/5? Correct? Yes. Okay, receiving students and 80s, 7E, you should have these 2 answers for 1A and 2A. Now, receiving students and 80s, I'd like to explain something here. This style of simplifying fractions and this style here, this is one way that you can use, and this is another way, but this is more appropriate. Using this way. You can either use this way or this way, but I prefer this method here to use to simplify fraction than this. So receiving students and 7E, there are 2 ways that you can do that. You either use this or this, but this is much more clear than this. Now, receiving students and 80s, our key phrase for today's lesson is on equivalent fraction. Before we wind the lesson, by now you should know what equivalent fractions are and how to simplify fractions to its simplest form. So you must remember that fractions can be simplified or reduced down to their simplest form, only where necessary. Some fractions, when it's in their simplest form, you cannot simplify it. With that, thank you, receiving students and 7Es. I will see you in the next lesson. Thank you. Take your seat.